in order to achieve this, when I come to United States, the first thing I did is study Hebrew and Greek. I study Greek, I study Hebrew in order to know Old Testament. You know, a few minutes ago, we were study of the Hebrew, and I myself had a headache to study Hebrew. And I also studied Greek. Why I have to study Greek? Because in order to know the New Testament, in this principle, in order to know Chinese culture, you got to know Confucianism. The Bible of the Confucianism is Analects, 论语. So if you want to really know Chinese culture, you have to study Analects. Through Analects, 以经解经. So the most important approach I have is to know the Bible, to know the Word of God through the Word of God. In order to know Chinese culture, I study Analects through the Analects. Unfortunately, in the past, both American missionary and the Chinese, including the Chinese scholar, didn't do this. They don't study the Analects through the Analects. Do you know that Confucius is one of the best religious reformer? Do you know that? Many people don't understand this. The first thing in the Old Testament, the Ten Commandments. What is the Ten Commandments? The first statement is what? You ought not to worship what? Idols. You ought not to worship different gods and godliness. Right? If you open the Analects, Confucius, you watch very carefully. Confucius did not talk much about God and Spirit. 子不语什么？怪力乱神。And many people misunderstand this statement, saying Confucianism perhaps is atheist or non-theistic. That is a mistake. Confucius, the first thing in the Analects, he didn't talk about God and Spirit. Instead, he talked about happiness. What is the most important message of Jesus? What is the most important message of the Bible when you worship one God? To share the gospel. What is the gospel? Gospel is good news, right? What is the first statement in the Analects? Good news. The first statement in the Analects is what? To be rejoiced for when you are learning. 若学 you should be rejoiced for when you are with your friends. 若群 when you live with the people, sometimes people may not quite understand you. You may have a misunderstanding with a friend. Don't be despair. Be happy in your heart. So in other words, like the gospel of the Jesus, the first statement Confucius wants the people to know is what? 3 happiness, 3 joyful things, 三乐, okay, 3 joyful happiness, 3三乐. When you have a good relationship among the people, there must be basic principle of human relationship. There are more than 600 laws or regulations in the Old Testament. 600多个，645个这个条文 ，OK？ If you summarize the old teaching in the Bible, into the one sentence, what it will be. Jesus said, you ought to what? Love God with your heart and soul and spirit. And also what? To love your neighbor as yourself. Love become what? We know as a golden rule. Golden rule is a basic principle to summarize Old Testament. Confucius talked about many things. You all know that Chinese ethics primarily is based upon the Confucius teaching. Confucius spent his life to talk about what is a good behavior, what is a good virtue. One day, just like today we have, if we want to summarize all the Confucius teaching, my teaching about the moral virtue, do you know what they will be? Confucius asked his disciples. His disciples, they don't understand. They don't know what is that thing. One fundamental basic principle, but one student knows. Some the students. So yes, I know. So only one student among you say, yes, I know. What is the fundamental principle of all the moral virtues? He said, after the class, then student asked, son, our teacher said that all his teaching can be summarized into one sentence, just like Jesus. Say all the old prophets can be summarized into one sentence. You will be surprised. Similar approach you can find between what? Between Jesus and Confucius. Many people don't understand. Jesus and Confucius' fundamental teaching are comparable to each other. There should not have a conflict between China and the United States. Okay? That disciples say, all our fundamental teaching, 一贯之道，大家都知道，一贯之 one thread. All the fundamental teaching can be summarized is 忠恕而已啊，忠 do to others as you wish yourself. So, negatively speaking, do not do to others you don't wish yourself. So, one thread, one fundamental teaching of Confucianism is the same as Jesus, surprisingly same as Jesus. And we always think there must be a conflict between these two. If you look at the golden rule is the basic and fundamental principle of life. Jewish people may feel that we can do that. We observe Sabbath day as birthday. Sabbath day, we don't do anything. We obey the teaching of the prophet. But Jesus discovered that we, the human being, cannot do that. We are all the sinners. The Ten Commandments, in a way, to teach us what we ought to do, what we ought not to do. But main purpose of golden rule, love of golden rule, is not we can do it. Instead, let us know we are the sinner. So Moses' law is not to show us we can do that. Analects. One main principle, 一贯之道，忠恕而已。That doesn't mean that we can do that. Very unfortunate. The people, when they study, for example, the Bible, or we study Analects, they don't look the whole book in total. Okay? They just stop. 忠恕，忠 means loyalty. Loyalty to what? Loyalty to emperor. Loyalty to government. Loyalty to what? To the nation. 精忠报国啊 right? So from generation to generation, emperor, when the people just stop over there to be loyal to emperor, to die for the emperor, okay, to sacrifice himself for the nation. Okay, let's stop there. Therefore, Confucianism considered to be what? To be misused by the government to control the people. You got to follow the fundamental principle of our human behavior to be loyalty to the nation, loyalty to the government, okay? And you got to sacrifice your life. But actually, if you read the Bible, if you read the Analects, what is the sage? Our purpose is to do our best to be a good practitioner of the fundamental principle of our life, 忠and 恕, to become a sage, right? If you're a good citizen, you're a good gentleman. But ideally speaking, we want to be what? To the sage. What do you mean by the sage? Many people may think that sage is what? I don't do any mistakes. Okay? Christians are the same. Jewish people are the same. Pharisees consider they are the sage. Right? Scribes, they think they are the sage. They faithfully follow the 645 laws set by the Moses. So we become the sage. Jesus, come on. During the Sabbath day, when some people get sick, Jesus healed the sick person, right? Right? Say, Jesus, you break the door. Jesus said, Sabbath day is made for the man, not bad man for the Sabbath day. In other words, practice of the fundamental principle of our golden rule should be flexible, should be updated to our actual living condition in our life, right? Same thing. Analects. Who is the sage? Okay, that dependence, gentleman is happy in their learning. Gentlemen, 君子啊 happy in your dealing with the people, 罗群. 君子 should be happy in your practical life, in your mind, 肉心, right? Okay? Now who is the sage? Sage is not a person without making a mistake. A sage, 圣人, what is the 圣人? Look at over there. 朕躬有罪, 无及万方. When government make a mistake, when I make a mistake, I don't blame the citizen. 万方有罪. When ordinary people make a mistake, 罪在朕躬. I should not blame the citizen. I should blame myself. This is the most beautiful statement in the whole Analects. Before United States independence declaration, all men are created equal, right? Government, when government make a mistake, we should take away his power, right? All men should be equal in front of God. So before American make an independent declaration, Confucius made their declaration more than 2,000 years ago. Unfortunately, okay, how many Chinese know about this? How many Chinese know that before American Independence Declaration, Analects already mentioned this. All men are created equal. And when government make a mistake, sage should be happy to acknowledge the mistake. This declaration, such a beautiful declaration, unfortunately, many of you are Chinese, you don't know about this. Many people think that, take for granted, China is a dictatorship. America is democracy, right? Culturally speaking, that will be the case. No question about this. Who gives such a wrong idea? Not government. Scholar make this a mistake. When they translate Analects from English to Chinese, from Chinese to English, become the standard textbook